Welcome to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast.
Hashtag hosts and the HQFM quiz and bingo software are proud to sponsor the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast. With HQFM quiz and bingo software, you can use this interactive quiz software at any venue. All you need is an internet connection. Go to hashtagquiz.co.uk for your free trial today.
Hello and welcome to Catherine Vandome and Me. I'm Catherine Vandome and I'm a stand-up comedian in recovery from very severe ME. I'm also a published author and my book is out now. It's called The Truth About Me and it's all about entertainment and health, just like today's podcast. And with that, it gives me the greatest of pleasure to introduce today Monika Koszegi, and she is a theatre healing practitioner and meditation teacher. Hello there, Monika. How are you?
Hi, Cathy. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's an even better pleasure to have got that tongue twister correct in the beginning.
Which one was that? Was it my name or the book?
It was Theta. It's a new word for me today, and I want to know all about what Theta healing practitioner is, because I obviously have studied quite a lot of different modalities, but this to me is something unique, and which is why I wanted to bring you on today. And first of all, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for sorting out all my technical glitches this morning. You obviously have multiple talents, Monika. And thank you so much. God bless you. So how are you today, Monika?
Thank you, Cathy, again to invite me here. And yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to be here, really. And that is the big smile on my face, the excitement you can see.
It's amazing. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And am I correct? You are from Hungary originally, is that right? Just tell me a little
Yes.
bit about that, Monika.
So I have been living in England just over a decade. I came from Hungary, and that journey is really going back 11 years now.
Wow.
Boy.
So quite
Just thinking about it.
Wow. So quite a journey, quite literally, quite a
Yes.
story to unpack, which is what today is all about. It's all about entertainment and health. And obviously today, being such an incredible health expert that you are, I was very privileged to meet you with my partner, Mark Singleton. We met you at the Ellie Ultimate Health and Anna Bianchi, their fantastic wellness exhibition, which was the wellness show. Is that right? In
Yes.
Rhythm, is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. Yes.
And we were privileged to meet you there. You did a fantastic presentation as well. And that's what drew me to you. I just thought I have to speak to this lady. She's a fountain of knowledge and youth. And that's what we all want to learn from. And being, you know, a dear friend of Anna ourselves, anyone in alignment with Anna, we are very much drawn to. So it's a real pleasure to have you on today, Monika. So just tell me, what is a Theta healing practitioner, now that I've got the tongue twister right, a Theta healing practitioner and meditation teacher? Just tell me a little bit about what that is, Monika, and what it involves.
So Theta healing is an energetic healing modality, but it's involved talking as well. And we are actually helping people to find out how they feel, how they think, how they see things, what they believe in, and it's unpacking the really who you are. It's connecting to all level of our existence, and with the theta in the name, it indicates that we are using the theta brainwave to tap into that space where we can see these imbalances, these programs in the how we created what we believe in it, and all that information, because it's a huge amount of information that a person can have. And with the theta brainwave, which is kind of a slow brainwave, it takes you to the space where your conscious part of your mind and your subconscious part of your mind are really getting closer. And it has a little like a little bridge between the two. So you can access that huge amount of information that is made up who you are, that power bank, I should say, because
Wow.
at the age of 7, every children are constantly in theta, in that frequency, in that brain wave. And so this is how we filling up that information bank of our mind and learning about stuff, making sense of the world, making sense of who we are, who others are, what are our experiences, have that meaning, or what we can do with that, what we are capable of. And it's all stored there. And it's quite important because so 5% of what we are aware of, that is our conscious mind. And 95% of the information is sitting in the subconscious part of our brain, which is just huge. If you can imagine that you purely remembering and noticing 5% consciously, so you are aware of it, you know that, oh, actually it's warm today, so I can wear a t-shirt, or why am I scared of spiders, for example? That information is a little bit deeper down in your subconscious. So with Theta, we practice to go into this. We call it the creator of all that is. People call it God. In other religious belief, they call it different names, or you can call it life force, or whatever it is. It just how we call it really is we are all talking about the same thing. We tap into that space where everything has been created and see where is the imbalance in the body, where is the imbalance in the mind, or even in a spiritual context, we can see where our blocks are and bring it up to the surface, bring it up to that conscious level. And we know that, okay, I don't want to carry this anymore, so we can release it, we can let it go. I don't know
Fantastic.
that.
Well, I have to say, you explained that beautifully. You're obviously a lecturer as well. Your presenting skills are amazing. You really have presented and explained that. Because obviously, at 7, I spent a lot of time in theatre, and I'm talking in the hospital. Then I spent my entire life in theatre on the stage. And this theatre is spelled Theta, and you've explained that beautifully. So this theatre, as a practitioner, you're saying that 5% of the brain is conscious, 95% is unconscious. In some people, perhaps 99%. I'm joking, possibly myself. But basically, we are sort of unconsciously reacting, sort of like the animal instinct is kind of what I'm unpacking with your explanation. So we are sort of reacting to situations unconsciously, and the joy of your therapy and healing is to get down deeper into the subconscious set mindset, which not everybody feels comfortable doing. Would you agree with that? Explain that a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I'm not surprised why. Because so when you go and tap into the subconscious, you will find some stuff that is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It takes courage and a big breath to face. All the self-sabotaging, all the reason why we procrastinate is still there. You see, it is there, all
Yeah.
of them.
Yes.
But why people would go there anyway? I mean, if it's uncomfortable, we tend to push it away a little bit, not really want to go to that place. But at the same time, our desires, deepest desires, are located there too. So if someone wants succeeding in their job, in their career, or want a better health, or have in finding a soulmate or whatever it is, that desire is in the same place where anything else. So that's the reason why people start to willing to go to these places and have the courage and have the time and energy to tap into that space where you can actually find so much treasure. I
Yes.
call it treasure because they are gifts as well. So when someone can face their darkest part of themselves, it's huge. It releases so much energy. It gives you a different meaning almost. And you, oh, actually, you know what? I have something in me that I'm proud of. Or you can uncover so much, unfold so much about who you are just going to that place. And when you're visiting the subconscious more regularly, after a while, you will get that sense of, you know what? I'm loving my life
Yeah.
with all the imperfection, and that is a great place to be. I have to say, I haven't been there before I met the Theta healing.
Let's do that today, Monika, so that you're going to leave today loving your life and being absolutely perfect. But the most important thing is what I hear you say is just, I mean, we're always healing. The healing journey, I've said this before, Buddhist monks will always say, those in the caves that live alone and have very little will always say you are consistently healing until the day you draw your last breath. So I always say this, if anybody practitioner wise says, oh, I'm the one for you, there's nobody else, there is so many wonderful practitioners such as yourself who are out there accessing all these different elements of healing modalities, which is why it's such a pleasure to have you on today, Monika, because each and every one of the guests that I've interviewed has brought something innovative, something new, some wisdom that they have tapped into, and that will resonate with with different people. And I certainly have tried almost everything except jumping out of a plane to get better. And I will not do that. I'm scared of heights, and maybe that's my fear. But no, my joy is in interviewing people like yourself, because you are teaching me about the theatre, which is really interesting, because if that's the part of the brain, as you said, that that sort of stores this information, just explain that a little more clearly, just in case anybody wants a bit more wisdom on that.
So if you think about that, or I start a little bit back, I always thought in my life that there are so many people out there who born with special gifts
Yeah.
and yoga teachers, gurus, whatever. And I always admire these people. Where is that knowledge coming from? I love in it. But I didn't born with it. I thought at first.
You thought.
And and actually when I started learning this modality, I realized that we all born with it. All right. And we all used the theta brain waves as well. So it's five major brain waves that we use daily: beta, theta, delta, gamma, and alpha. So if someone wants to practice some stress release, they usually tap into the alpha brainwave, or they use that brainwave while you are practicing. Let's say the delta is when you are sleeping. Deep healing happens during your sleep. That's why it's really, really important. If someone struggles with sleeping issues, dig deep into why or what is the cause of it, what is the root of it, because that can help and accelerate your healing journey. Theta, yes.
No, I was just going to say on the delta and alpha, now I understand what theatre is in relation to what you're describing, only because Dr. Raymond Perrin, who's helped save my life, a neuroscientist, he basically explained that in ME, my condition, we have alpha and delta waves switched in reverse. So the brain is unable to detoxify as we sleep, because those waves and patterns are reversed. So we crash by day. It's the reason we crash by day and we're alert at night. And the
Okay.
toxic buildup, so the chemicals and various other, toxins that build up in that part of the brain that controls sleep, um, basically prevents the detoxification and prevents the opening, I think, of the axis. I was just studying this last night. I don't want to misquote anything directly, but I think if that axis is unable to open and release the toxins, the cerebral spinal fluid that flows up the spine around the brain and detoxifies us as we sleep isn't flowing efficiently. So it's constricted. And it's constricted because we've got a flat upper thoracic spine, which is inverted in most cases, or certainly a neck injury or impairment that is preventing the fluidity of the brain flowing efficiently. And we have to also have a structural abnormality of the skull as well. So in my case, my jaw was misaligned, my spine was inverted, and obviously Dr. Perrin's got to keep that system pumping. So the reason I explain that in relation to what you're explaining is that now explains more clearly to anybody that's heard of alpha and delta. Theta is another element of that. And what were the other two as well?
It's beta when you are focusing, let's say when you are studying, or now that we are paying attention on each other and having this discussion, we are in beta.
Okay. And what was the other one?
Gamma. Oh, what was that?
No, no, this is not an exam. You're the knowledgeable one. I'm guessing it in all the research I've done in my book. So gamma, yes. What's the gamma wave?
Gamma wave is really deep, relax. Well,
Yes.
probably after the delta, we are going into gamma, but it doesn't really, well, I wouldn't say that we don't use it as much, but probably the less that we use from the compared to the others, maybe I risk to say that, but you use Theta, for example, every single day. You use it, I use it, everyone uses it. It's just before you go to sleep and 5-10 minutes after waking up. So that is a really nice creative space to be. And I often utilize that 5-10 minutes after waking up,
Thank
sometimes
you.
waking up if you have a bad dream, but waking up um, and write down, use your journaling skills or tools, and really put everything out on paper. You will be surprised how much information comes up just after waking up, because not every day we waking up the same way. Some days it's more, you're more fresh, you're more vibrant, you had a good night's sleep, you are much happier. But other time it can be quite exhausting. You might had a bad dream, or you didn't settle down for some reason. I don't know, the stars didn't align in a right way, and that made you feel a little bit out of sorts. And you wake up, sit down with I usually say 3 A4 pages, and just start writing without stopping. You only stop when the 3 A4 pages are full.
That's it. I recommend that also, Monica, because The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron was, I don't know if you've read that book, that
No, I
was my
haven't.
inspiration. And she basically explained exactly that you either write morning pages or evening pages. Now, just to get anybody with ME, long COVID, post-vaccine syndrome, fibromyalgia, Ehlers-Danlos, any of this collection of descriptive symptoms, our subset of people are not getting that delta wave sleep into the gamma where you completely and utterly detoxify. And that's why we are always waking up, as you've just described, where an average person would wake up and have a bad sleep and just feel a bit groggy, but be able to get up and have a great day. ME people feel like that, Monica, every single day. Isn't that a shame? Because the brain isn't until Dr. Perrin, his treatment helps that modality to start work. His treatment helps that to start working, but we're not getting that full deep sleep to detoxify. And if you're not detoxifying, what happens is you're just consistently full of toxicity and you're consistently just drained, and hence why you often crash in the daytime and fall asleep, because those alpha and delta waves have reversed, and that's been scientifically proven. So interesting. You're the first guest, Monica, on the show that's actually touched on the sleep pattern, because what you're now explaining is with your modal, the theatre is as soon as you wake up and just before you go to sleep. Now, my theatre, because I worked in the theatre, was, and this is for any stand-up comedians, entertainers, it was just constant. So I have to say, I lived in theatre. It never, I never slept. I never did, I genuinely would have about 2 hours a night. So I worked in theatre. I obviously I was so happy though. It was brilliant. My life was joy. And I just constantly kept going. And creative juices were flowing, running multiple businesses, very exciting way to live. But then comes the crash. You can't sustain that. So you take me from there a bit further.
And as you mentioned, Cathy, that this is actually explains the connection between the mind and the body, that is not separated. We can drive the Ferrari constantly, pressing the accelerator and try to go as fast as we can till the point where we had to stop, or life will stop you and say, hold on a minute, you're going to burn out here. You're going to, come on, let's take back a few steps. And this is where I often see people when they have different conditions that, oh, I all of a sudden got this condition. No, that condition was building up probably years and years back in the past. By that time, reached the breaking point where your body either said it, your mind said it, or your spirit says that, you know what, life feels tasteless. Nothing there anymore. It's not exciting, or you don't see the excitement of life anymore. And this is where we have to recognize the fact that mind, body are not separated, neither from the soul either. So we really have to start digging or going inwards and stop looking what I can't have, and bringing that focus back on you, because life, I heard that, and actually I have to agree with that. Life might give you what you need, not necessarily what you want, or life gives me what I need, but not necessarily what I want.
After today, you're going to be absolutely inundated with what you want. This itself is going to be a very big healing, I hope, for us both. But the most important thing is what I learned when I literally collapsed off the front of the settee, which is chapter 2 of my book, The Truth About Me. What I learned was, yeah, I'm not a machine. I can't operate at full function like that forever. It was a very exciting ride. As I say, I had a great life, but now obviously 11 years on, and I'm still, if you like, building back that recovery, because I was just so poisoned, Monica, because there was multiple reasons, physical reasons, and a structural abnormality preventing that drainage. We think from birth, so 39 years of a buildup of toxicity. So that's my personal story, but it does resonate with so many others that are watching today. And it's a case of, if I'm getting better to be able to sit and chat with you today, then there's hope for everybody in whatever you are going through. And I did have to unpack the emotional, the physical, the chemical, the structural. I've had to work with different healing practitioners on all of those realignments, let's call them, but also working on the mind, because 11 years is a long time to sit and sit with yourself, particularly if you're having to sit with me. I said in lockdown when people were saying I've had enough of being locked up, it was like, well, you've been locked up with yourself. You're going to learn a lot. I certainly did. So yeah, so that in itself is a great way to unpack. You take me a bit further with that, Monica.
And so many, as you mentioned, that certain times, like your body, you're born with that, and it's something might happen uh, after you had been conceived and you became a fetus and you became a baby and you were born to this world. We don't know when did it really started till we really start doing that digging work. We call it in Theta Healing digging work. We dig down till we get the root of the problem. And for example, I should say I wasn't aware of certain things till I started to meditate, started to practice Theta Healing. And I was not a happy person, let's put it that way.
Okay, right. Monica, I want to go back on that and I want you to sort of share, obviously you can touch on that now, but then we'll go right back to your birth because that's the important bit for me is you recognizing where you were and then going back and perhaps how that occurred in your actual life as well. So just tell us a bit more about that feeling that you've just described there.
So when I started, before I started practicing Theta Healing or study, I should say, I tried so many other modalities to find why I'm so unhappy, why I'm never satisfied, why I'm always the angry one or the grumpy one. And actually, my teacher, I went to a weekend away where we tried holotropic breathing. And it's actually with that technique, we went back to the womb. And I rediscovered more about my journey being as a fetus in my mom's womb. And that was an interesting journey. I think my self-discovery, started there,
Wow.
really, because my mom couldn't recall too much about, being pregnant with me, or she would say, it's usual, nothing really exceptional. So I didn't know what's going on. And she couldn't bring me closer to the information that I needed at that time. But as we were in that weekend away, we were practicing these breathing techniques, and I had funny feelings, like sensations in the body that I didn't know where to put it. Am I just imagine it all in my head, or I wasn't sure that is it true, is it real, is it not? I don't know what to make out of this whole journey, really. And the next day we had to do the same thing in the water. And with these breathing techniques, you basically remembered everything, how you were as a fetus in the womb. So that was kind of interesting. And we had to born afterwards. So it was like a whole rebirthing process practiced in the water through this breathing technique. And it was really, really interesting. And I realized that, some stuff coming up emotionally. I'm crying, I'm out of sorts, I can't really know who I am anymore. And we were in this weekend and I went home and I felt, oh, great. Why did I go there? It's even worse than before.
But that's part of healing. I will just say, healing is going into the darkness and then you come fully into the light. You can't heal by quick fixes. It just that's not full healing. That's just a quick fix and then let's go back to how I was. Full healing is really, as I say, a life journey and a commitment to unpacking so much. Can I just say, did you have to be born the way you were born? Because I was born bottom first, and I think that might have surprised everybody in the pool next to me.
No, it's actually, we did this exercise where the people had to stand in the water with the leg open, like in a triangle.
Okay.
And someone, well, either from yourself, pushed yourself through it, because that would be a natural way of born
Oh,
into
so
this
someone
world.
stands as the mother and you
Yes.
then are born, but you don't
Yes.
have to say, because I was a fast breech birth. I didn't want to rise to the top in that position. You don't have to do any of that.
Well, I have to say, I got stuck between the legs. I
Oh
got the right
no.
panic. I was
Yeah.
in absolutely panic. And as I came out of the water, I just got out and I burst out crying that how horrible it is, and I can't make any sense of it.
Could
But
it be?
that,
Could it be that that was how you were born?
yes,
Yeah.
and that struggle in the womb is actually mirroring how you relate to lots of things outside and
Oh,
in your life. And for example, after that, I found out from my mom, because she remembered that the doctor was actually hurrying, going to his holiday. So they have to induce me and get me out quickly because it was time. So that explained to me that why I'm resisting so much in life. Because it wasn't really my choice and my call, my timing. I had so much issue with timing. And I'm not saying that it's all solved, but I'm much better at it. And that just explained that, okay, why do I have to rush? I don't like to rush. I like to really give myself time and space to really make that call when I want to. So that actually explains that how important it is to be in the womb, how important it is to really get in touch with yourself. And well, you are with your mom like this during through the process of being born into this world and after as well. So it's really, really important to have that kind of connection. And who knows how we were born if we don't, let's say, check in. And how do we know why our spine was like that, or our jaw is misaligned? And don't take me wrong, I'm not complaining about people who help you to this world. It just certain things happen, and instead of being a victim of it, we
yes.
can utilize to grow from it and use that knowledge, use that information. Just, oh yeah, I got that. I understand why I'm like that.
I was just going to say that's brilliantly expressed because, um, I'm very lucky. I'm a very positive soul. So every time something happens, I always, I'm somebody that sees the bright side of it. I've laughed, through the sadness of the last 11 years. I still keep laughing. So thankfully, I'm blessed with that, which was my nana's quality, Lily Higginson. She was always laughing, the two of us together all the time. And indeed, I'm about to train. And by the time this is aired, I will have trained in laughter yoga. That's something I'm participating in next, which couldn't sit, more readily on my shoulders as a stand-up comedian. So hopefully that will be a great therapeutic modal to help other people, because as we know, laughter is the best medicine on top of
Yeah.
theatre, practitioner healing and meditation. So basically what I hear you saying is, just going back, you basically were born again, if you like, in the sense that you experienced that rebirth, but you then had the opportunity to discuss with your mum that not everybody has that chance to do. The only reason I knew how I was born was because my mum's expression was, "You shot out like a rocket." And what Dr. Perrin says is that the tube itself, where the patients are born through, the bit that a standard GP wouldn't discuss, this area that we are talking about today. It's just not something they talk about. As you quite rightly said, the jaw misalignment, the spine issue was, in my case, because I was crumpled up and bottom first, you see, very attractive birthing, and and hit the mother across the face. What an ugly baby. And the point is, as I was being born, apparently the fast births are most vulnerable, Monica, to developing ME, which is inflammation of the brain and spine, which makes sense because of the structural issues. So it's so important to understand how we're born. But as you quite rightly said, but also keep positive. Don't sit on that diagnostic, because I've got about 10 diagnoses, but I always say, hang on a minute, there's a way to get better. And the jaw misalignment, of course, because Dr. Perrin's an osteopath, he has completely realigned my jaw. So the dentist said, your teeth are completely in line, and they never have been. How is that possible? So even with these misalignments, because the jaw just used to wiggle all the time, it was like hanging off at one point. And people have quite rightly said it's because you don't stop talking. But the point is, it was nothing to do with that. It was a constriction. And as soon as he realigned the jaw, the drainage fluid in my ears started to move and the drainage of the brain started to flow. So everything, as you quite rightly said, the emotional, the physical, the chemical, the structural, we need to combine all of those. You take me further on that.
So on the talk where we met, I was actually talking about how we can rewrite these stories, what we have. And I was talking about that sometimes it's the body, sometimes it's the mind, sometimes it's the emotions that we have to tackle, and they are equally important. So if just going through when you tune in with yourself that, okay, have I done everything to support my body?
Yeah.
Have I done everything that I support my emotions, or because when you said that the jaw and how the fluid flows, actually emotions and emotional blockage can stop that. It's actually so linked to each other that when you release an emotional blockage, you can actually feel it, that
The fluid drainage.
something,
Yeah.
energy, fluid, it starts moving and you feel instantly, oh,
Yeah.
I'm relieved.
Not holding on to something. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many times we have seen that certain emotion can affect the body very, very much. Like a year ago, well, it wasn't a year ago, but I went to see Anna because I couldn't lift my shoulder again.
This is Anna Bianchi.
Anna Bianchi, yes. And that was grief and guilt that blocked my shoulder so much that I couldn't move. But it's needed to shift. And that's why all these practitioners, and not just me, Anna, and many others, we are really working on helping people to find those blockages and allow you to move through it and move on. Because as you write, Cathy, that if you just sit with one label or one condition or one
diagnoses.
diagnosis, what's next then?
Yeah. Well, that's
It's
it.
our
It's almost
choice.
like, bye. I was told that's it. You're done. You'll never walk again. Your career's over. Bye-bye. Well,
And that
that's
is
not helpful, is it?
and I just wanted to highlight that that is very a strong statement. When obviously modern medicine and how doctors had been trained, this is what they see. But this is one slice of the whole cake. What we are talking about, mind, body, spirit. The physical side is one slice. There are so many other, and it's all influenced each other. So with Theta healing, for example, we go down and you did check out our belief system, because some people has very, very strong belief about white coat doctors telling me I'm never gonna do such. I'm
Which
never gonna
blocks,
walk. And
blocking. Yeah.
that can be such a powerful statement if we think that it's true, or if we dwell on it and say that that is it. The doctor said to me, I'm never gonna walk, so I give up trying because the doctor said. And that is again conditioning of, and sometimes having that collective belief of who I'm gonna give my power to?
Yes, I like that. I like that, Monica. You're exactly truthful in that. Who am I giving my power to that anybody could tell me my life expectation or my limitations? And because my belief systems were so powerfully the other way, as a comedian, for example, saying, "Oh my gosh, that looks impossible. I'm going to go and do it." When they said you'll never walk again, I literally tried to get out of my wheelchair and run. I didn't just try and then I fell flat on my face and nearly broke my nose. But the point
But you
was,
did
I
it.
was like, I'll show you, I'll show you. So I've always been brought up as in entertainment, which can be very harsh at times, and critical. So I've always had that criticism, you're not good enough, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that. And so when somebody gives me a challenge negatively, Monica, in my personal belief systems, I then do the opposite. I'm going to prove I can do it. So, but I know that Dr. Perrin told me you're in the minority in that. And I think what you're doing is, as you quite rightly said, speaking to the majority. So I want to also speak to majority and say, if you change your belief systems, if you really believe and give yourself a purpose, I always say to people, give yourself a purpose ahead. If
Mm.
you've got a great purpose that you're going to go and heal others, write a book, change the world for the better in some way, do something good, do theatre
Yeah.
practitioner healing, train with the wonderful Monica, train with Anna Bianchi, these gorgeous guests that have been on the show, go and do something that transforms you for the better to go and serve the greater good, which is to help others, which is the reason we're here. Would you
Mhm.
agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also agree with you that how you mentioned the belief system is massive in any, it's not just on healing journeys, discovering your own belief system, but when we are talking about self-worth or self-esteem, or what do I believe about money? Is it growing on trees or is it not? What did we learn about it? Or let's say um, I think Sally was mentioned, Dr. Joe Dispenza, in your previous podcast.
Okay.
And actually, he was saying he had a massive injury, and he's talking about the beliefs as well and the purpose. He said it on the bed, facing down, because he had a full spine injury. If I know well, he had been hit by a car when he was riding the bike. So he had a really, really bad spine injury. They told him that he's never gonna walk.
Same.
And he was lying down, facing down on the bed, and he was saying, if I get out from this bed, I will show people what they are capable of. And he did, and he does it. And also the creator of this technique, the Theta healing, Vajana Stable. So she had been inspired by her own discovery of her own belief system. And this is how she managed to heal herself. Obviously, every single person needs to do the job. We are here to guide and help and assist, if you like, as practitioners, but everyone has to do the work.
What I'm hearing you say there is the patient, the people that come to you, which and I really admire the way you've said that. The people that come to you are the people that are in charge, because
Yes,
you've talked about that feeling from your own birth of feeling like you were not in control. Now, what you're saying is you facilitate the healing journey, but you don't make it happen. And the best healers in my book are the ones who say that. I'm going to help you, but you're going to do it. And I think, if anybody says I'm going to save you, as I said to Anna, run the other way. But what's great is they're going to help facilitate, and I myself do the same. The great thing is you're helping facilitate somebody's healing, but they are doing the journey. They're doing the
absolutely.
heal from within, I call it. And I think
Yes.
what you were saying earlier was the external. are the things that we think are important, how we look, the makeup,
Mm.
the hair, the this, all the things that the job, the status, perhaps in some cases, the ego. And when you become sick, or when you have your sort of going into a darkness, whether that be, as you've just described, a mental health decline or a physical health decline, whichever those are, you go into the darkness to then come into the light. And my goodness, does the light shine brighter than it ever did? So I say we're
Mm.
lucky, Monica. And on that
Absolutely.
beautiful note, I want to go back from your birth, if you don't mind,
Mhm.
to hear about your story, because I think in sharing that, your path is going to resonate more strongly. And I think a lot of people are going to want to come and have healing with you from today. And so just take me back to your, first of all, we know now your birth was quite traumatic. We know that you were, very quickly.
Yes.
And did you say that you became the opposite of Timeous? I've always been Timeous. Did you become the opposite? Like, I'm going to slowly get there. Can I just say thank you for turning up on time today to today's podcast? I feel very, very honored and privileged, Monica.
You're welcome.
Being a timeous person myself, but to be honest, in my healing journey, like yourself, I've learned to say, I'm going to allow myself an hour to get ready, which would normally be a fast costume change that took 3 minutes on the stage. Do you know what I mean? I've learned to take time, because in taking time, your nervous system, your parasympathetics kick in. What you don't want to do is keep adrenalizing yourself, because that's how I lived, and you don't last very long. So take us back to your youth, and your parentage. Where are you from? We know you're from Hungary. Whereabouts? Tell me about your mum and your dad a little bit, and we'll go from there, Monica, if you
Yes.
don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came from a small village down southeast. So it's really close to the Romanian border, from a little village.
Wow.
And so I always thought, okay, I'm going to uni, I will study, but I will come back to this village because, that safety net, that everything that comes with it, is there. So I will come back to it. And as I started to grow and unfold who I am, I just became even more and more curious about the world, about how people live in other places and all that. But I will come back to this as well. And as a kid, I was really curious. I wanted to know everything. I loved watching people and observing them, just sitting on the steps and just watching people and try to figure it out what's going on. I didn't do it in purposely, and that was my natural interest.
I love that.
And I was actually really attached to my mom. It's like wherever she went, I went with her. And I did this observing setup there. And well, I I wouldn't say that my childhood was so exceptional or something was wrong or off or anything up until my parents divorced. And that made a lot of problems for me, let's put it that way. And
How old were you, Monica?
I was 11,
Okay.
so I was quite young, and it was not an easy transition because one point I was living with my mom, the next point I changed my mind and I wanted to live with my
Are
dad.
you an only child, Monica?
No, I have two sisters, one elder one and one younger one. So all this situation, or I should say trauma, because that was kind of traumatic for all of us. And probably that, well, pushed me to the way to go to work as a social worker, because I'm a former social worker as well. This is what I became uh, after completing the university, and became a social worker in childcare. And so after the divorce, I was actually um, Well, did secondary school, nothing exceptional. As I mentioned, I only started to become aware of so many things when I started to self-explore myself, that why I feel that way, why I have so much stuck emotion in my body. I was actually questioned that how I didn't become ill with these, emotions inside me, because I was really championing repressing it. But then at the same time, I was really tuning with my emotions and my gut feelings. So there is a little contraindication there, because you are tuning with them, but you don't allow them to come through. So there was a constant battle. And when I went to train, being a social worker, I was guided there by this gut feeling that this is the right thing to do. I studied economy in secondary school, so it's two different words. I just did a U-turn when I felt that is not for me. I don't know where I'm going, but that feels okay to me. So I studied and went to become a social worker. And the first year, I felt this is it. I'm a winner. I love this job. I love it. I love it. And I really loved it. Loved it too much, I think, because I ended up working 60 hours a week. So
Oh,
I pressed that gas pedal very much, and till the point when I burn out. Just got my degree. I was working 3 years. I mean, I started working during uni, but
what's
finished
your degree in, Monica?
social worker,
Social
being
work
social
degree.
worker. Mhm.
Okay.
And that was 5 years. So I was doing my degree in the old system in Hungary. Now it's like 3 years, and you can top it up after. The social worker course was 5 years solid at that time when I was doing it. And it involved lots of self-discovery. When you are working with people, you have to know yourself in order to become aware of your triggers, your flows, and in order to gain that empathy and be able to be there for people when they need you.
Particularly the most
So,
vulnerable, which are the children in your care. Absolutely.
absolutely. And so at that time, I was going to see that lady who did the weekend away, and I was going to her to get myself in shape. I had so much resentment and anger towards my mom that,
How old were you at this point, Monica?
well,
25?
25, yeah. And I still struggled to let that go, all that upset. And I was still living as a little kid inside me who is angry for their parents. Why did they split up? I did it. It wasn't really a conscious thing for me. And I started to do birth Hellinger, rebirthing, and other modalities. So I started my journey of self-discovery, really. And one point, this lady told me that, oh, I'm going to run some Theta healing courses from, I don't know, a few months later. What do you think? And that was the opportunity for me to learn something. And I was, that point, interested in to find something that I can do for myself, and I don't have to rely on therapists and go to appointments and stuff. I want to do something that I can do for myself.
Something that you could take control of, I think I hear you
Absolutely.
saying. And
Yes.
when you say you went to therapist, did you have a standard talking therapist as well? Or was it the explorative healing modality of the birthing process and other external type of therapists? What was your therapy at the time?
It was really interesting because I always choose my therapies by, again, what do I feel I drawn to? I never, people, let's say my sisters, they really love talking therapy, psychology, all that. my way of discovering myself was something that I was rely on my gut instinct that, let's see on the website, that lady, oh, yeah, I like her. Do I feel anything, like, okay, yeah, I feel that drawn, so I'm gonna go to her. And this is how I choose all the therapies that I
Wow.
have tried.
I
So,
love that. I love that.
oh,
I'm very much like you, and I think Hannah is, and Mark Singleton, my partner. I think you very much embody that as well. So what you're saying is you wanted to do something beyond the conventional talking therapy in your case, and your sisters are drawn to that as a modal. But I think being the woman who was born too quickly and not wanting to be timious and wanting to rebel, perhaps a little rebellion Monica
yeah,
inside of you was basically not wanting to conform, perhaps, to
yes,
standard modals and try something different. And that's what
okay.
makes you unique. And that's why it's so beautiful to have you on because you've tried something completely different and it's worked for you and for so many others. So continue with that story because that's really beautifully shared.
So I tried kinesiology,
What that
Hellinger.
is, tell me what these are.
Kinesiology is like when you are working with the muscles as well. So when you believe in something, they double check with your muscles response that is it something that you resonate with or not. And so I tried energetic healing modalities like prananadi, which is similar to Reiki, but it wasn't really any of these modalities, probably maybe the Hellinger family reconciliation. That that was a mouthful for
You
me.
sound like me this morning before we went on air.
So that was another technique that actually really touched me. I mean, it went to the core of me, and I felt it that
Tell me
it
what that
can,
is again, even though you can't say the word, and I'm
yes,
not going to attempt it either.
please,
Um,
please type it in.
we need
Bert
it coming across
Hellinger.
the bottom. Just if you can try and say it, Hellinger.
Hellinger. It's a German technique. Hellinger, Bert Hellinger
Yeah.
created this technique where you actually, recall the dynamic between the family members. And so you can bring a problem there, and people that you never know will stand up and move the way you do and bring those flows up from the deep, from the, I don't know, from the field, how you do it. And often who guides you through it, they ask questions that, is it resonates with you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sometimes you don't have to say anything because my tears were pouring out emotionally, energetically. It's really touched me on so many points that I didn't even know that it was existed or I had issue with. And that was one of the technique that I was like my go-to. And the other one,
And just explain that a bit more clearly. So you're sat there and somebody is, go on, explain.
so you go into this circle, it's a group session,
Okay.
and you bring in to like a problem, or let's say I can't look at my life because I'm more worried about my parents. That was strongly my case, that I couldn't focus on fully on my life. I was always occupied what's going on with dad, what's going on with mom, and I was worried constantly, and that constant stress was wearing my body and making me feel not living my life really. And so you explain what you want to change, and you choose certain people who represents you, represents your father, represents your mother, and these people just start to tune in with what they feel, and they start to randomly moving in the space.
Wow.
And that movement and the fact that you see it triggers you, signaling back to you, and you start to unfold what's happening. And the facilitator start asking questions that, how does it make you feel? What is it bringing up for you? How can you relate to? And sometimes certain people just, let's say, lie down on the floor, and it's symbolizing someone who had been passed away from the family, but important for you energetically, and that holds an information. Or so many cases when people started their journey in this world as twins.
Wow.
And if the twin was not born,
Yeah.
that can come up on this session as well.
The
And
heart you're missing, effectively. Yeah.
yes, and you try to fulfill in life, in real life, that something that is missing, and you do extra work, you carry 2 bags instead of one, you try to load your emotions on somebody else because you want to fulfill that gap. But that gap, if it's not fulfilled or not acknowledged by you, it's quite hard to fulfill. We can't.
So
It's a
interesting. So even perhaps a child whose mother has lost um, children. So my father, for example, and his elder brother and his younger sister. My father's mother lost twins at birth. So could that impact on the child?
absolutely,
Could that somehow
absolutely,
impact on the two boys and then the little girl that came along after? Could it impact on them in any way?
absolutely, because it can impact, it will impact the whole system. Because if there are people missing, or other cases, let's say if someone were excluded from the family, it affects the whole system altogether. And let's say, going back to what you were asking, if there are children who sadly didn't born, there is a gap, and they have to acknowledge that gap, or that, I should say, the spaces where those children should be born. So let's say if
It was
that was
two
the
little girls.
second pregnancy.
Sorry, forgive me. It was two little girls that were
Mhm.
stillborn, I think. And you're saying that would have impacted the children that were there at the time, which would
Yes.
be the two boys at the time before the other girl arrived. So just explain that again. Sorry.
So because in the family, so how you born, and in the how, let's say I'm the second born, I have a sister, I have a younger sister, so I'm the middle child. But if, let's say, before me would be another child to be born, then I would be the third
Yeah.
in that system, not the second. And that can cause, let's say, you never feel that you are at home, or you never find your space because you are not in your space. Everyone refers you as a second child, but actually you are the third one.
Interesting. Yeah.
So that can bring up so many underlying issues that you don't feel, let's say, acknowledged as much because you are not in that order of birth.
And
How?
not only that, perhaps with there being two boys already there, and then this loss, the
Mhm.
grief that my grandma must have felt,
Yep.
will have, two twin girls after having two sons, that must be an enormous strain on her emotional development, and then impact the family, I'm sure, in whatever, as you say, unconsciously have an impact on how the rest of the children's lives were played out, because there's a loss.
Yep.
And as much as you love your already existing children, and she was so blessed to have children, because I haven't had any children. I've got a little dog Tinker that you'll meet soon. He's my son, and I love him like a son. But what you're saying is that is going to impact the mother's connection with all of her children and partner, because she's had this great loss. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And also how it would impact as well, that, let's say, why the mom is grieving and cannot give the existing children as much of attention, because grief is not a linear process. It's like it has ups and downs, it can create certain beliefs for the children. Let's say, I'm not as important, and you don't have to be told that you are not important. You just receive the message that I don't get that attention for whatever reason, because the mom is grieving or not being available emotionally, because try to hold it together. It's so many I purposely call it information that goes into this power bank of subconscious. Every single person has a unique one. So let's say the children who born and they are getting older and older, they saw their mom suffering or grieving. They didn't know what's going on because the parents didn't want to overload them with this information, or because purely it was not a thing that we were discussing with children.
And also, yeah, exactly that. You've got to remember, a generation or two above ours, Monica, they weren't going into birthing therapy pools and swimming through people's legs. That would have seemed completely absurd, and perhaps to some today may seem absurd, depending on your belief systems. And absolutely. So I think the suppression of perhaps historic circumstances more so than today. Luckily, today we have the freedom of expression, and long may that continue. But what you're saying is, certainly in the past, historic circumstance, you just pushed it down, and somebody, that loss can absolutely impact you, I would guess, for a lifetime.
And talking about the theta healing, let's say your beliefs is not just created, and not necessarily you carry just only yours, but you might carry a past experience from your ancestors like that.
Yes.
So, and we hold it into our subconscious. So when we are doing the digging work, we see beliefs coming from this lifetime. We see beliefs coming from collective, which is when many people believes in the same stuff. You can be linked to or attached to that collective belief. And it can come from previous lives, or in a historical level, as you said it, from our ancestors, or even from, well, the moment you were conceived, really. And I believe even beyond.
I agree with you, because I do always express, when I'm helping others, that when somebody is stuck in trauma themselves, unconsciously often, they are just in that sort of fight or flight, something that I certainly lived with, and I'm sure you did as well. But what you're saying is, and I totally agree with this, is, and I always say this, forgive everybody everything, because what happened to them, the person that committed and caused this trauma to you, what happened to them to make them do that to you? Because traumatic behavior, unkind behavior, is never born of a happy soul. So if you have anybody in your world that one might label toxic, keep them at a distance, love them from afar, throw them a love bomb, hope that one day they have the awakening, the spiritual awakening that you and I have had. But if they don't, then just try and, don't try and make them like you, which we all so often do in a job or and any sort of environment, family situations, whatever we're going through. Just be the good person as you are, Monica. Be the good and let people come to you. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, because you have to look after one person in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And that is you. Okay, that you might have children, and you might have dogs and cats and people around you that you want to naturally look after, but down to the very basic is that you are responsible for one. It's you. And if you feel constantly stressed out because in your environment, somebody is constantly doing certain behaviors, it's we can't change that person who causing that distress, but we can change that. What do I want to do about it?
Yeah, we can change our reaction to
Our
it.
reactions to it, absolutely.
Because we absolutely can't, we can't change anybody, good or bad. We can only hope, and work, as you say, work on ourselves. And then when we project a better frequency, a better energy, often those people feel less triggered, maybe.
Mhm.
Maybe they have worked on themselves in that time scale, but you can only hope for a better outcome, but you can't change somebody else. As you say, the only person you can ever heal and change is yourself, and then resonate, hopefully, a higher and a better and a more sensitive frequency so that others may in time feel that they can step back into that world should they choose to.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, because everyone has free will.
Yeah, and
It's,
none
it's
more
like
so than you, Monica, from a woman who has been absolutely trying to do everything that the opposing the system of healing and doing other modalities. But what an incredible set of healing modalities you're sharing that I haven't heard of. So take us further from that, going back to you had the German reminders of the name of it.
Hellinger family reconciliation. Is it the word?
Well, I'm asking you.
I, I
I,
know the Hungarian one, but I'm not sure about the English
well, if you're
translation, but I
translating
will.
as well, well done. That's absolutely fantastic. You're incredible. And so this was all in Hungary, I'm
Yes.
guessing, all this healing. So take us further from there. What happened next on your journey?
So next, as the lady who I used to go for breathing, using this breathing technique, the holotrope sessions, she mentioned that she's gonna teach Theta healing soon. Would I want to join? And again, I tuned in and I felt, do I want to? Yes, I feel that draw. I don't know why, but I need to go there. And it's not as conscious. It just happens that I feel that I'm drawn to something and I have to go, and no one can stop me. And I landed on this course, and that just changed for me everything.
Wow.
And that is the technique. If I think about it and being honest with myself today, that do I know any better modalities for me? No, actually, I don't. This is
Wow.
my modality that I'm absolutely covers me from top to bottom, and I love it. I just don't know what aspects I discover even further, because obviously this course has so many different other
Layers to
aspects.
it.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And so you came, when did you come over to England, Monica?
2013, when I was absolutely burned out, and I decided I'm happier to, serve coffee and tea somewhere. I don't care. I just want that mental uh, pause. I want that little break. And I needed a language exam anyway. So I said, okay, it's time to top up my English because no one could make me speak. It was my biggest barrier, speaking in English. I
Wow.
said, well, if you go to abroad, there is no other choice than that.
I can
So I
only
had to force.
apologise on behalf of we English that we have made that the way that it is. That is all of our fault.
Well,
So-
to be fair, it's a certain way is express everything much easier than, let's say, the Hungarian language.
oh, really? Really? Wow. And
That was
so
the hardest part, to translate it that simple.
and so it's 2013, you come over to the UK, and is it Lytham you land in straight away? Whereabouts are you based in the UK?
I landed in Carnarvon
Okay. Wow.
because I, well, my first plan was to going to New York, but my sisters, I love them and we are really close. They said to me, Moni, it really scares me. I know you need to go, you go then, but can you just go somewhere closer, please, where if something happens, we can go and get you?
Oh, just in case you were reborn again and didn't come back up again.
Might be.
And
And
well, that's beautiful. So where and is that where you are today as well?
uh, well, and this is how it's ended up. Me going to an agency who give me that safety net, and they tested me. They said my English is fine. Let's do the uh, planning, and how quickly do I want to land in England or somewhere in the UK? I said as soon as possible, really, because at that time I finished. I quit my job. That it was a grieving process because I loved my job, but I couldn't do it anymore. And I said, okay, anytime. It was 1 week later, I got the phone call that I have a week to pack. I said, what? I wished a quick change, but not that quick. And I started panic.
You're like Superman inside a little telephone box.
I was petrified, but I made myself this change, so I have to own it. I have to go now.
You. Good for you.
And it was a quick shift, and I had to really give notice to the place where I was renting the flat from at that time in Budapest. I had to really pack everything. I had to say bye to my parents, and I was really, really up for the challenge, but really, really scared.
Yeah, it was
And
change. All change is scary.
yeah, it was scary. And I was keep doing the theta healing daily.
I bet.
Changing those limited beliefs and
And I bet
constantly.
you weren't getting much delta sleep.
I have to say, I love my sleep.
Oh, that's why. That's why you didn't get physically ill, honestly. Oh, I'm so jealous. Put some of that energy over here.
And so I ended up packing everything I had, and let's go off to go to the UK. And I landed in Carnarvon, and I even got lost in Birmingham, which was another adventure, but
We
really.
get lost in Birmingham, Monica. We live here, love.
But I had this leap of faith,
Yeah.
and that really shocked me because I only had, because I mentioned that I was so scared to speak in English, I have written down every single sentence, how to ask where is my way to the hotel. Because when I'm
How
stressed,
do I get off this Birmingham Ring Road? Number two.
I forget everything when I'm under that much of stress. I don't even know who am I. Like,
I am
am I
so
a woman?
proud of
I don't
you.
know.
I am so proud of you. That's a huge leap of faith.
It
And it
was.
paid off. It paid off, didn't it?
Absolutely. And so I ended up, I said to myself, you are so stressed out, you're not gonna do too much good. Sit down and eat because your blood sugar is definitely out of source. So I said, okay, I give myself 5 minutes, eat that sandwich, and I will go. And I finished, and I nicely asked a lady next to me that, could you help me find this hotel where I need to go? And turned out she was Hungarian.
God, the spirits, whatever, we
Whatever.
will absolutely align with us.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is it. When you are willing to
Open to it.
be vulnerable and have that faith,
Yeah.
everything will come you need
It
to
comes to
guide.
you
Yeah.
because I lived my life trying to force things to happen. And I'm sure most people do. If I just do this, then I'll be good enough. If I just achieve this, if I just pay my mortgage off, if I and it's that angst that keeps you stuck. And if you
Yeah.
just let go, not only does your body, as you say, and mind heal, but also all these things start coming to you, such
Yeah.
as you to us today. How privileged we all are to hear your wealth of knowledge and your leap of faith, because that's what you've
Yeah.
achieved.
And that is what we need when we are in the world of unknown and the
Yeah.
darkness, as you said earlier. we have to connect back to that leap of faith. And I ended up arriving in Naven. I ended up having a great place where lots of people came from all over the world. I had a brilliant 1.5 year there when I actually felt that's life. And I remember standing at the window and thinking about now I'm living my life.
Now it's mine. There's a
Yes,
difference between my life,
it's
my
mine.
or
Yes.
our life. It's mine. I own
Mm.
it, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yes. So I actually could embody that space that was always there, but I couldn't really connect because I was too busy to monitor the outside circumstances, the people outside of me. So that was and it is mine.
Big sense of freedom with that as well, because as you say, you left behind your family, but the family structure, let's say, that
Yes.
we are conformed to believe that that's the way it should be, and that is not always the case. People need to be happy. So the circumstances I'm sure your parents were in, then their freedom was knowing that they love each other, they had that time together, but actually they needed to progress in their personal healing journeys, and that was separate.
Yes.
So it's, as you say, but we're taking the wounds of our parents, we're taking the wounds of our grandparents, and you've even educated me on that today. I didn't even think my grandma that I hardly knew, and and the loss of her two twins was anything to do with me. That's quite interesting, isn't it? How it does go down, the wounds go down the
Yeah.
family tree, and as you quite rightly say, if you can catch it and see it, then you can breathe. And one of the healing modalities I embodied in my time of healing was to actually put myself in the position of somebody else that was causing me unhappiness. And I did that for quite a long time, actually. And I put myself into other bodies. I don't mean physically, because, but it's not Ghost, the movie with get out. It was very much lying in bed, meditating, which is your second fantastic modality that I want to cover as well. And in doing so, I must have researched that. I did a lot of reading and researching, and honestly, by going into the body, and they'll never know, maybe they felt it, but they, by doing so, the forgiveness was just huge. And I really want to encourage anybody listening today that try that. You don't have to tell them. You don't ring them up and say, just to let you know, I'm going to be going into your body today. Woo! Um, just go into their space,
Yeah.
almost in a way, especially my theatre background, different to your theatre background. Go into their space and embody and feel how they might feel, their insecurities and their vulnerabilities, and knowing them, especially when you know them very well,
Mm.
and my forgiveness, because at the end of my book, I say, forgive everybody, everything. And the people I'm supporting today in different healing modalities, they're all saying, not all of them, many of them are saying, how can you forgive? And
Mm.
my answer to that is, if you don't forgive and let go, as you know yourself, you're carrying their wounds in a suitcase. So you've got to forgive. And then even if they come back with more unkind behavior, you can then work on that internally and forgive that. Because I know somebody who didn't ever forgive a relative of theirs, and they died in that angst because they
Mm.
could never drop that suitcase. So my feeling is, if you forgive everybody, everything, and I don't mean externally and ringing them just to let you know I forgive you. Again, they don't need to know you've entered their body, or
Yeah.
or anything that's going on in your own mind and body. That's your journey. You can journal it, which I totally embody as one of the best healing modalities, and totally with you on that 3-page healing. But also just take that time to go into their spirit, if you like, and say, why are you doing this?
Mm.
And understand them, their birth, their process.
Yeah.
What number child were they? How did they have to live? in order to become angry perhaps, or bitter, or to take it out on you? Why are they taking it out on you? And very often I always say, hurt people, and you hurt the one you love the most. That's how I kind of coped with my hurt, feeling I was very loved. But no, that's not the case. What I was taught was, you hurt the one you can get away with it with. And that I want to share today, because for me personally, once you change your mind, body, and soul, and your reaction to hurt behaviors, they don't like it. The people that just unconsciously, in many cases, that's the thing, they're not consciously, in many cases, hurting you. It's their own trauma and wounds that they feel they can express onto you. You take me further, because you're the expert, and I don't want to override that. You take me further on that.
And that's okay. If someone doesn't like the change you're going through, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's their feeling, it's their unhappiness towards your growth, but you can be still centered and happy about it, that you're actually moving from that point, that it's your life, who you are loyal to yourself or to that person who wants you to be, I don't know, use you as a box bag, or, it's a very,
As a what? A book bag?
a boxing bag,
Boxing bag.
take it out on you.
I like that. I thought you said a book bag. I was like, okay, that's a Hungarian term. Going to the library. I don't know. I didn't understand. So
Wait
a
till
boxing bag. Yes,
Yeah.
a punching bag. A punching.
A punching bag. Yes,
Yeah.
because it will be uncomfortable for people to accept who know you for ages that you change. They don't have to like it, but if this is what you want, if this is what you make you happy, you have to go with it.
Yes. And that's what you did. And that's what I love about your story. You felt that you were almost, as a caring, natural soul, working in the social care service and helping others. Your innate wisdom and care for others, Monika, shines through the screen. And what you're saying is that you were also a huge empath, obviously, but helping other people and trying to coordinate your own family circumstance, as we all do. Even if we've got the most perfect family upbringing, there will always be something that we've all gone through, and we often think we're alone in that experience. And this is the beauty, I hope, of this podcast, that by sharing so many different stories, there's huge overlapping feelings and sensitivities. And even if the person who you look at is being unkind with you, once you do the sorts of healing journeys that we are doing, and you look at why they're doing it, it's nothing to do with you. And that's the biggest letting go that I felt, and why I could finish the book, because I couldn't finish it. It took 8 years to write. I couldn't finish it because I couldn't fathom the forgiveness bit. I couldn't get to what I call full forgiveness. Not the external, okay, I forgive you, we hug it out and it's done, but the internal. And in doing so, when you get to that point, which is so beautiful, you can literally forgive everybody, everything, because the truth is you're protected. Would you agree? You're no longer taking their dramas, their uncomfortable feelings on as your own wounds. You take me further with that.
Absolutely agree, Cathy, because forgiveness is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, when people say, or even through meditation, and you've used the phrase, or when I guide people that show forgiveness, and you tense up and you say, I'm not.
Yeah.
That is a moment of gift, because at least you recognize your resistance towards forgiveness.
Yeah.
And forgiving is not forgetting about what happened.
No.
It's just acknowledging that something went wrong, something was wrong. I didn't like it. And with, like, say, my case, I was angry for my mom for 12 years.
Oh.
Whenever we saw each other, we just argued. I was absolutely heartbroken. She was the one who who was closest to me. And she was the one who I pushed away the most because I just could not swallow and digest the fact that they split, or she split the family, or whoever. We can blame anybody, isn't it? But the fact and that's why probably the core of it, why I started to discover what's going on in me, it was that deep sense of, I want to know, I want to forgive you, but I can't. Not just yet. I want to. And 12 years later, when I was ready, when I did the hard work, when I went to lots of dark places, I realized that, you know what, sitting here with you, Mom, just women and women, I just want to know why. And she explained to me her perception on things that was obviously totally different to a kid's one, which was mine. And I said to her that, you know what, I want to forgive, but I don't know how. I'm doing all this stuff for me, not even for you, which was a bit harsh looking back. But she accepted that and she said, okay, that's fine. And she said, Moni, I would do it again. That shocked me. That, what? What did you just say? And that was an honest discussion on how we see things. And actually, I'm really feeling privileged that I could manage to forgive her before she died. And that was a big thing for me, a big motivation why I want to go to that place of forgiveness, because I don't want to carry. If I lose the chance that I can talk to her, it would be still on my shoulder, this bag, and I will still carry that burden, that emotional blockage, that stuff that I couldn't shift.
There is no time on healing, and there's no time on forgiveness. And I think we're both sharing that today. But what we are both sharing is start today on both of those processes, because if you don't, you might find that the outcome is said person or people who have hurt you in your life have died before you've got the opportunity to put your arms around them and say, I forgive you. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so forgiveness is a process.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you acknowledge the fact that you are not there yet today, or maybe not tomorrow, maybe a year later or 2 years later, whenever it is, just keep doing it. It will come. It will come when it's ready, when it comes from the heart.
Yes.
Because I can easily say, yeah, I forgive you. As you said, I forgive you. Yeah,
That's the first
right.
bit. Did you go through that? Because that for me was the first bit. And almost the ego. Okay, I'm going to forgive you today, and I'm going to write and I'm going to journal about it. And then the next day, there's what I call your belly's going, and you're thinking, no. Or perhaps they go and do a second and a third and a fourth thing. And, even the people, if they are still with us, they can still cause upset. So for me, I'm on the process on my own, as you say, and we all should be. That's why I'm sharing it. So I use my diary. So when somebody repeatedly, because they're still in their unconscious mind, so they're going to do their behaviors till the day they die, until they become consciously aware that they keep kicking the dog or berating the wrong person instead of healing their own wounds. Would you agree that that's perhaps where unkind, unhelpful behavior comes from? Your own traumas that you suppress and are therefore taking out on others. Now, I was always someone that took out trauma on myself. That was me. And, you know, but a lot of people, I'm always, oh, that's my fault. If there was a dead body in the room, I'd say, oh, what did I do? Did I accidentally, knock something over? That's how I used to live my life. It's all my fault and nobody else's. So I went from that area of thought. But a lot of people have the area of thought it's all somebody else's fault and none of mine. So I'm a sorry person. I say sorry for the most minimal thing. But that also means I'm a very forgiving person. And this is just something I believe I was born with. But you take me through that. What happens when you're with somebody that is never sorry, it's never their fault? You can see that, but they continue to do the behaviors. Would you say take yourself out of that relationship completely? Or would you say like friendship or family member or work colleague, whatever that might be? Or would you say um, just keep sending them love, which is kind of my way?
Well, I would personally check in with me that what is triggering with me, with what's the trigger here.
Yes.
Okay, so if that person is really not nice towards me or towards others, and just looking at that person triggers me something, I have to investigate it. I just
Yes,
that's
that's
not
my
sure.
favorite. Get into their body.
Yeah, because you want to, well, if it's affecting you, if it's triggering you, because if it's not, it's easier to move away. But
Yes.
when it's a trigger, it's not that easy. And that if you work with a person who constantly annoy you and you just looking at that person, oh, I can't even look at her. I can't even looking at that person and talk to them, never mind working together. Uh, then you have to just sit with that. Okay, what is it that I don't like? What is it bringing up for me? What is it reflecting inside me? Because it's a
Mirror, isn't
reflection.
it? It's often a mirror. And very
Yes.
often the people who berate us have exactly the same sort of what I call energy, perhaps, triggers, traumas, or the bit I'm unfolding today after so many years of trying to explore that as well is, and that's why I think there's lots of mirrors in childhood stories, you know, mirror, mirror on the wall, and the reflections in the water and everything. There's a lot of mirrors. And I think the mirror imagery is often something that's triggering me, I see in somebody else.
Actually, it's the trigger. What is triggering in me? When I was doing the course of Theta healing, our teacher was doing a kind of tricky exercise, and we were like 30 of them, and every one of us had to name a person in the room that we don't like
No,
out loud, out loud.
no.
I was like, oh no, I'm gonna,
I
you
would have
know,
chosen myself, I think.
well,
You're not allowed to choose yourself.
I don't remember that you were allowed or not.
There you go. I always think beyond.
But everyone
Like
started,
Big Brother, who are you voting out?
was cruel a bit. But what came after was really, really interesting because she said, right, now that everyone said who you don't like in this room, go and work with that person.
Of course.
And we often found as we started to dig and working for with the person who is suffering, who has their own stories going on, who has their own limitations, their own stories, their own pain,
Yes.
and try to get them go through that. And you start to see those, "Oh, I know that. Oh, I don't know that. I know that moment. I'm familiar with this program. Oh, it's running for me as well." You started to see those points of reflection that is reflecting and mirroring you back. And at that time, I was working on myself a bit, and I was working with this person, and I was like, okay, what is still? Because I think I'd done everything that she mentioned, and I still don't get it. Why is she triggering me? When the realization came, and I said, oopsie, I know how vulnerable and painful that space is that you are in. I didn't say it to the person because I didn't want to emphasize her problem. But I realized that this is the space where I don't want to move back to.
Yes, yes, because you
And the
work on
fear,
yourself and you didn't want to go regress. So very often, and that's so interesting that you've shared that, because very often when we do the work on ourselves, gosh, that might answer some of my questions. When we then go back into circumstances or back to people who we had connections with before and they are triggering us, it's because we don't want to go back into the trauma because we can, especially if we're sensitive, we are sensing those people are living in trauma. So it may well be that. And if you're highly sensitive, like me, you're picking up on, more people's traumas than most people would resonate or have that feeling of. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and that is important to find and learn what is about me and what is about others.
Yeah.
That separation in a way is really useful because you can actually have the opportunity to hear that is it my thought or is it theirs? Is it my pain or is it theirs? Is it my issue or is it theirs?
Yes.
and and finding the balance and finding the way that, okay, yeah, actually, you know what, it's mine. It's my fear that I don't want to feel that vulnerable ever again in my life.
Or I don't want to
Or
be hurt by that
yeah.
person again, particularly if the people are repeating the same patterns. So you've got two choices. I either move to Hungary, we all move to Hungary, and you guys all move here, or as you say, you continue. And as I say, healing is a continued exploration. And what I am drawn to now, very much so, having come from an entertainment background, is I am hugely drawn to healers because they're healing, if you like, maybe parasympathetic. Maybe I'm not drawn to people who are quite nervy and anxious, and that stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is an issue in ME. So perhaps it could be a physical scientific reason as well. But I am very much drawn to the healing world now, and I feel a lot calmer because that activates the parasympathetic. And Dr. Raymond Perrin did say you may not be able to go back on stage again, not because you can't, but because it's an excitement. And he said, and you were sort of driven by excitement, which is a stress on the body, and that is that's your sympathetic nervous system. So if you go back into a modal that is perhaps not serving you physically because of your circumstance, then you're not going to fully recover. And I do know that every time I've done any calm sort of modal, knowing that you were coming on the screen today, I felt nice and calm, which is lovely, because you can be yourself then. You can be your authentic self. So you take me further with that feeling, Monika.
And when you say you might not go back to the stage or to that, that stage of your life where you were before
That
the
theatre.
ME, yeah. But by that time you are here because that is in the past. You are here now. You already did another journey with journeys. We're constantly on a journey. You might not want to be on stage and you might want to support people and reach so many people through your podcast. It's basically, what is it that you might make a different choice? That's why I was struggling back in at that time when I was living in Hungary, that I was shifting between
Yeah.
past and future and present, and that caused a lot of upset for me, that my mind constantly went back to old way of thinking, traumas, all that kind of stuff in the past. Why is that, blah blah blah. And also I was already conscious about, but I'm creating my life, I want to do this, I want to be that person, blah blah blah. So I was stuck in the loop of the future thinking. And I
Need
was
to get into the present. Yes. Yes.
and that really got me to the point where I believe in that you are capable to do lots of things. And I believe in that you have to let the past go or learn from it and move on. But how to be in present, I have no clue.
That is most of us, even the healers. We are subconsciously trying to better ourselves in different ways, which is a great thing. But we're subconsciously as well, often still, as you said, re-triggered by past traumas, subconsciously even, but also projecting a future and trying to craft and work out where the future's going. And I think what I hear you saying is for all of us, we're all feeling that. And that's so exciting because when you know that it's normal, then, and even people I'm sure like yourself, Monika, will be feeling that, and Anna, and we're all going through these feelings every day as we try to make the best of our lives, to better ourselves and to make the best for others, because that's what life's about. It's about love and very little else. And once we understand that, then we're on the right path. And as you say, if you're getting that charge of unease, it may be that you've not quite let go of a thought process or a situation that is keeping you stuck. Would you agree?
Yes, and what you mentioned earlier, that you constantly were pushing,
Yeah.
pushing. And actually, when you are in a present moment, you might be, not might be, you are definitely have a chance to notice that, hold on a minute, I'm trying hard here. I'm pushing it too hard because it's not coming to me. It's not flowing. What do I feel in my body? Well, some heaviness or some that is, I'm pushing it, but I'm stressed out to the top of my head. So it's something not really pleasant. Or, okay, how can I make it better? Well, I can time it a little bit better. So I give myself more time to prep. And the next time you try it again and you feel, oh, it's lighter this way. And you learn, you adjust yourself. It's like, on the radio when you try to really find the right tune.
Yes, yes. Are you emitting the right frequency? And we've discussed this with a musician in the past. What is your frequency? And it might be that your frequency doesn't align, such as in the piano. You might be a particular key, and somebody else is just below that frequency or key, and so your frequencies don't match, and sometimes you have to accept, okay, we're just running on a different frequency, and somebody
Mhm.
else's frequency does match with somebody or love, and that works perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that sometimes the frequency is different, but I do want to share that communication, in my opinion, is what is lacking today, particularly in the last few years of this separation that we've had. I think if we can communicate directly, as you've just shared in your therapy modal that you did, with the very person that we're having that ill frequency with, once they understand you because they're listening, there's a difference between
Hmm.
sitting and listening and truly
Yeah.
listening to what the person's trying to say, and vice versa. You then truly need to listen to where they're coming from, because it's not all your fault. And
Hmm.
if you're a person that thinks it's always your fault, that's not going to be helpful. And if you're a person that always thinks it's everybody else's fault, then that's not going to be helpful. So you need to get together with that person. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And see those mirrors.
Yeah, and see the
What
mirror.
is, yeah, see the mirrors, and that person will show you, give you a gift, even though that it might be a hard experience, but when you are coming out of it and you have a better understanding on the whole picture, you might say, you know what? I can be thankful for that person, for the hard lesson. This
Yeah,
is how I learned from my boundaries.
I love that. And I sadly have to end today. And I want to say that through your discussion, you have actually shared exactly what theatre healing and meditation and mindfulness can do, how powerful that is by your transition from Hungary, by your personal circumstance in your family unit, how you were able, through your beautiful story today, your life story, sharing with us. And thank you so, so much, Monika, and expressing how you healed yourself, where you have got to today, so that you can so beautifully help and heal others. and all the beautiful flowered modalities that many people will never have heard of. And tapping into all of those has got you to your favorite, which is theatre, practitioner healing and meditation. And I think if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Monika, can you just share with us your website and how people can get in touch with you, and whereabouts are you based today?
I'm based in Lytham Sentence, so I'm quite, but I'm online as well. So I work with people in different countries as well. So I'm available in a big spectrum, I should say.
Great.
And yeah, so my website is Rebirth of Life. It's a mouthful again, but it represents how you can change and reborn from anything, really.
So
And
www dot
health,
rebirth of,
rebirth of life.
I'll just say that again, www.rebirthoflife.com.
.co.uk.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
www.rebirthoflife.co.uk. And you're also on Facebook and other socials as well. Is that correct?
Yes, on Instagram as well, but mainly on Facebook. And I run now, it's like a monthly meditation session, which is coming up next week. But it's a nice journey to have together and experience it together and make sense more of it, what we are going through, really.
And this is this one-to-one and group opportunities for
Yes,
everybody, and that's
yes,
over the power for globally representing and helping people. So over the power of the internet, but also
in
in
person.
practice in Lytham as well. So people can get in touch with you,
Of life.
www.rebirth.co.uk.
Yes.
Fantastic. Monika, what a special, beautiful soul you are. Thank you so, so much for sharing your incredible life journey with us today. And I wish you every success ahead in your own journey, and whatever that may bring, because we are now going to leave today in the moment. We don't
Yes.
know what's ahead. And God bless you for sharing today. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Thank you so, so much for coming on to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast. And I'll leave the last word with you, Monika.
Thanks so much for having me here and having this brilliant discussion and sharing your light by the way of you do. And thank you for that.
You're very, very welcome. What a privilege and honour to have you on today. God bless you. May your future continue to be bright. And thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom and insight. God bless. Bye bye, Monika. See you again soon.
I
Bye, love.